Hello everyone. Today's quick tip for the voice is super duper quick, and it has to do with temptation. So, before I begin, first let us celebrate my muscles. Okay. Anyway, you will only get that here and at no other voice lesson. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. No, just joking. Actually, it does have a little bit to do with what we're talking about because it is an example of two things. Number one, I am always encouraging you to remember to take care of the entire vessel, right? So you want to stay fit and healthy as much as possible because, once again, as I'm always saying, as our instruments are housed inside our bodies, meaning the voice that's inside your body, inside your throat. If any part of your physicality is not as healthy as hopefully you would like it to be, of course it's going to affect your throat and your voice, right? So we know that, and that's a message that I say often. The other reason that I'm flexing for you is because if you notice, folks who work on their physique a lot, that kind of thing, whether for competition or for whatever reason, they might tend to be tempted to flex often and to show off their muscles, show off what they've developed, right? What has that got to do with today's quick tip? Well, I'll tell you. One of the things that I want to remind you of and to caution you against is if you are blessed with what we call a big voice, a naturally really resonant voice that carries a lot of volume very easily, some might call it a booming voice. Particularly, you'll hear that description in male voices. If it's a very booming voice, especially a deeper male voice. Or women too, who just naturally have a very loud, full, big voice. The temptation is to always go to that bigness in the voice whenever you use it, whether it's for speaking or singing. And I want to caution you against that because, well, for several reasons. Number one, you have a full range to your voice, and that range doesn't just mean high and low, meaning high notes and lower notes, but in terms of singing, but also you have a broad range in terms of loud and soft, the quality of your voice, the way you use your voice in certain circumstances. The use of your voice in one setting or in one particular role is not going to be exactly the same as the way you use that same voice in another setting for another role, for another speaking engagement, a different kind of audience, etc. So we have a lot of colors and aspects to our voices, and part of developing the artistry and the use of it is learning how to adapt your instrument to different settings. So that's one of many reasons not to be tempted to always go big just because you have a big voice. Other reasons, of course, are that if you do that all the time or most of the time, you are underdeveloping, you're not developing other aspects of your voice. You can harm your vocal cords. You have to be very careful. If you have a very big voice, it doesn't take a lot necessarily to sing big or to take roles in which you're always, very bombastic. But even though it may come more easily to you, you still can be tempted toward doing it so much that it creates strain over time. So you want to be careful of that. And then other reasons too, the more sophisticated you become, and the more, professional, the more sophisticated, more professional, the more adept you are in your growth with your voice. Part of, you could say, part of knowing that you're a pro is knowing when to pull back on that big voice, where to use it. And also it has to do with the use of silences as well. How do you incorporate silences into what you're doing vocally, which can have a very powerful impact. I think I'll do another vocal quick tip on that, actually, now that I think about it. We'll do a separate vocal quick tip on the use of silence and how much it can add to the depth and the meaning and the power of your vocal message. But just to finish this up, if you have a very big voice, a bombastic voice, very resonant voice that carries easily, don't be tempted, and watch yourself to be careful that you don't find yourself always going big with the voice. Last thing I'll say about this quick tip. You hear that? This. The last thing I'll say about today's quick tip is that you can see examples of this in our current culture with things like The Voice, competitions like The Voice and America's Next Talent, all of those. What I mean by that, I'm trying to say, how can I say this? I don't want to put anyone down or take anything away from those programs or anything. But if you notice, oftentimes, I don't really watch those shows that much, so forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, but from what little I've seen, a lot of times the judges and the audiences, they may tend to push the singers and push those contestants to always go for the big, the big song, the big voice, the big, that's, we call those the money notes. That's what gets the big applause. That's what gets the big, responses. Oftentimes those kinds of big, going for the big notes are the things that get the ratings up and the judges' thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. So I think I recall, as a matter of fact, I think I read about it, as a matter of fact. I didn't watch it. But Harry Connick Jr. was a particular individual, and he was mentioning to his co-judges that they tend to get really excited and respond every time one of the contestants did a little fancy, movement with her voice or his voice. And he was saying, that's okay and everything, but there's so much more to the use of the artistry than that. And that doesn't necessarily move him. There's more depth, some more nuances to what they're doing vocally. So it's the same concept, same idea. Going big, going to the loud, big, high notes all the time doesn't make you a singer. Necessarily. It doesn't make you the best singer, I'll put it that way. How to use the smaller parts of your voice and more simplistic aspects of the artistry, both spoken and singing, often is what separates singers and artists and spoken word individuals. And that's, again, that is true for people who speak for a living. They know when to go big, and they know when to keep it very small and quiet. And that's what oftentimes brings the message across in a more powerful manner. So that's today's quick tip. Hope it was helpful for you. And give me comments and keep the questions coming about any vocal quick tips or things you'd like for me to discuss. And I'll be sure to accommodate you. Give me thumbs up, as I mentioned, and also I invite you to subscribe, and welcome to my new subscribers also. God bless, take care, and I'll be talking to you very soon. Bye-bye.